The images look really blurry when I have them like this. I'm making a Sarb tier list, or I made one actually. And now I'm going to talk to you about it. I should just start by saying all the characters in this game are very well balanced, and you can actually just play the character you like. So, if you don't like, if you like Hexon a lot, you can mostly get by with just playing Hexon. Hexon's a bit flawed. If any of the B tiers and above, 100%, you can play them solo main and not have it many issues. Yeah, that's what I think of B tiers and above. Just actually play them. So Hexon is still solo viable, but it's a lot harder. But play who you want, really. Um, now that I got that out of the way, I think this game is very well balanced, as I just said. But there are noticeable tier gaps, and I'll describe what I think the tier gaps are. S tier, maybe it should just be Retriever here in his own, but I think S tier, they don't really have any losing matchups. I think Engram does lose versus Scourge, but that's it. Then he's like gone even with Scourge, even when Scourge was a lot worse. So then A tier is like the characters that are very good in all matchups. They don't have many flaws. They don't lose too many matchups. B tiers are still very good, solid characters. They have a few more losing matchups, but they still have a lot of even ones. And then Hexon is just he's kind of bad. He's like the only character I would say is like actually bad in this roster. I guess B tiers are the mid tiers, A tiers are high tiers, S tiers are top tiers, and C tiers are low tier. Good to say all low tier. Every character in the game is like really viable, so play who you want, honestly. I guess that's like their equivalent strength, I would say. So yeah, let's just start with Hexon. He's a hard character, and he's like a zoner, but zoning's kind of bad in this game, just because inherently a 3D environment makes zoning hard. But the Hexon's actually like gotten some decent stuff to equip him for that. But his damage off of a hit is just very low. He doesn't get much off of it. He can kind of get an advantage state most of the time into an edge guard, but he just doesn't zone too well. There's a lot of ways to get around it. It is like definitely decent enough, but if you play around it right, like it's weird to say. It's not exactly bad zoning, but it's like a lot of bad damage conversions. Yeah, his zoning tools are third M1, forward M2, and shift M1. They are pretty decent, especially and neutral M2 or yeah, neutral M2, or M2. I'm used to calling it M2, but those are all pretty good zoning options. Especially if you can hit an M1. M1's also like a decently long range option. He does get a lot off of his M1s. The problem is that he just overall damage conversion isn't very high off of a straight hit, and he needs a lot off of a straight hit. He can't always convert off of his phantoms, or I guess his forward M2. Yeah, and overall he just has some flaws. Unlike the characters above, don't really have that many flaws. But I am going into the B tier here with characters with more pronounced flaws. Brick Battle is a weird character. I haven't played too much. I haven't played against Toast recently. But I think he's about the same. Brick Battler has kind of decent. He's kind of like a half zoner, but like he gets a lot off of his M1s. That's the big difference between him and like Hexon. Is he actually, if he gets a hit, he does do high damage. Unlike Hexon, because if he hits his M1, he can either go for his balls or wall combo. His balls are wall with an S. I forgot to say it. Walls with an S. But yeah, I think actually his his wall having collision actually is a nerf. Actually, it's been kind of hard to combo with it. I still think I still combo with walls. I think comboing with walls or balls isn't really a big difference. But what is the big difference is his big speed up on his balls and his rocket. I don't think the balls got speed up, but like you can actually zone more with the new rocket, and control more space, which is a big deal. Like, let's say the opponent's walking left and you shoot a rocket, now they have to go the other way, and you can use that to close the gap. Or I guess, yeah, if the opponent's going left, then you shoot it towards your right, because the opponent's left is not your right, but yeah, I guess they would be walking right from your perspective. Any direction confusion aside, he's got stuff, and he can do well in the right hands, but he has some flaws. I would say the other two characters here are more like a B plus, rather than equal on par to Brick Battler's level. Zoning is just kind of flawed in this game, but overall, he's still a good character. He's still in B tier. He's not in Hexon tier. Yeah. Sword Fighter, my main. I have some opinions on him. His damage output now is just really low. It's hard to get anything if you don't start a combo with forward M2 or charge forward M2. He can do M1, M1, shift M1, recovery, nair a lot of the time, and get himself into an advantageous position. It is a big deal for the character to be able to do that. Actually, with the updates, before the update, you couldn't do that. And then you actually had to play a game. It was a miserable game called Will They Unshield? If they unshield, then you can get shift M2. If they kept shielding, you just ate a punish. So awful game to play, and it was especially more important because he actually had more damage output if he hit the shift M2 then. But yeah, now he's kind of more of a mid tier. He's still got stuff. He still has an insane neutral, probably the best neutral in the game. Great approach options, great defensive options. He's still pretty good. Recovery is now now that you can do recovery on the ground, he actually gained a really fast startup option. I think it's faster than M1 actually. So he has a way faster grounded poke, and also it's just a get out of jail free card now. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, Sword Fighter is still not bad. I got second at the tournament with basically solo Sword Fighter. I had played Athena in like 2 matchups, and I realized that Athena wasn't going to work as well as my Sword Fighter, so I stopped after that in both sets. Yeah, Sword Fighter is great. Next up, Tatsuo. I guess it's hard to compare Tatsuo, or think about Tatsuo without comparing him to Brawler. So, let's just start with Brawler, actually. Brawler, Brawler has, like, good damage output, or I'm just gonna talk about both at the same time. They both have good disjoints, actually. M1's an extremely disjointed option for Brawler, not so much for Tatsuo because his leg sticks out, but for Brawler, it's an insane disjointed option. Shift M1 also has a massive hitbox. That's insane. They've got good range, especially. Also, Fair is a great poke now. It's not as good as it used to be. It used to be one of the best options in the game when you could still fast fall with it, but now you can't, and it's gotten a lot worse. It's kind of hard to use as a poke now and a combo tool. If you do, it's really rewarding though. So, the difference between Brawler is Brawler has more speed, a way higher damaging grab, and also a worse shift M2. It's more of a combo tool, but Tatsuo's is also a better combo tool, I guess. It does more damage, though. And then also, forward M2, I think it has a smaller hitbox, or I should say a bigger hitbox on Tatsuo. And Tatsuo also has Wyvern combo. Wyvern combo is basically useless now. Like, since the final hit makes it punishable on hit, it's just not an option, really. I'm not saying double cast. Double cast is really broken, if you remember that. But, it also isn't a good option now, so that's sad. But Tatsuo makes up for that with his way better edge guarding. Due to forward M2 being a lot bigger, and also shift M2 just covering a ton of space, he actually has a very strong niche as a better edge guarding character. So what you can do is you can go off stage and like shift M2, you fall a little bit, shift M2 where they're going to be, and then you can hit them off. Or if they're going to be like getting close to the side, you can forward M2 with your massive forward M2 hitbox and just hit them off like that. It's also a thing, forward M2 is also a thing with Brawler, but it's like way less. Like the hitbox is a lot smaller, so it's kind of harder to hit. Also, Tatsuo's grab just kind of is better for double dash approaches with grab, and you can combo off of it. You get less off of the grab, but it's like a better grab. In fact, I actually would instead of increasing the damage, I actually would like to see Tatsuo's grab just get cheaper. I think if it was like less mana, that'd be cool. And then next on the Brawler, I guess Brawler can act more as a grappler because his grab is better. It's hard to use with dashes, but his grab does 60 damage versus Tatsuo's 3 or 4. So yeah, his grab is just better. And also his speed actually is a lot more useful than you might think. It's only slightly faster than the entire cast, but that difference is big. You can like just kind of control more of the stage better. And it is a kind of a big deal. Bruiser is kind of the only character here with flaws. He has massive flaws, but massive holes. So he has like some bad matchups, like what does he do versus Athena? Retriever's bad. I don't know about I think Endgram's actually supposed to be even, but I'm not sure about that. I think also Scourge, I think, is rough. It's not like the worst thing in the world. But I actually was wrong. I looked back and I think a home thinks it's winning. I remember having a conversation about that matchup. But yeah, he has some like rougher matchups, but like he also has some pretty good ones. I think he does well versus Brick Battler. Does well versus the does he do well versus the Brawlers? I'm not sure about that. I think he's gonna see about the rest of the cast actually. I don't know. I feel like it's weird because he has such high damage. He just out damages every character that doesn't wall him out. But every character that walls him out, he struggles. He also struggles versus Sword Fighter, I think. Although that's a lot more debatable, I think. But I'm not sure. It might be. But yeah, Bruiser just has really high damage, and that's just kind of his thing. He has incredible Nair resets, or Nair loops. His Shift M2, or his Neutral M2 is just a good option for combos. Yeah, he just has an extremely strong combo game, and yeah. Scourge is kind of like Bruiser, except he's not like recovery flawed. Like if you edgeguard him, you just win. I guess he also has like a rougher matchup versus Natsuo for that reason, but maybe I'm not sure. But Scourge just like has a little bit easier time getting hits, but doesn't do as much damage. He does have insane damage still. Like I think the Scourge matchup is like, since Scourge is now like a better character, he now wins the Scourge matchup or the Engram matchup. It's yeah, it was a big deal. He just does so much damage. Nair does 30, by the way. Did you know Nair does 30 and you can loop it with Shane? Yeah, that's a fun fact. Nair does 30. Do you know how much Brawler's Nair does? Does like 16. Same with Tatsuo's and Hexon's. The only one that didn't get made lower was Scourge because from the damage bug. So also because I think also Hexon's Nair was nerfed twice actually. Actually, I don't know if the damage bug affected him, but I do know that Scourge's Nair does 30. But yeah, he just gets insane damage now. A home just does crazy Nair chain loops, and yeah, it's just a lot. He can get you to 150 consistently. I think after 150, he kind of struggles to like get damage now, but or he struggles to get a little too much more damage. But I think he still has good I think he still gets good damage after like 150. So yeah, Athena also is kind of in the struggling after a certain percent range. After low percent, after she gets her big combo, she just gets less combos. But she makes up for that with just insane edgeguarding. Like, she actually just edgeguards so easily. Her neutral is also pretty baby mode, and she can set up for her good position pretty easily. She might actually also be S tier because she probably loses versus the two characters above her, but everyone else she does really well into. She's a very good character. She just has good edge guards. She has good neutral. Fair is like still a pretty reasonable option now. It's not like the world's best option, but like it used to be. But now it's like actually like it's still pretty good. A weird. I actually did not think that move would ever be balanced, and actually it's really balanced. So hats off to Ondel. But yeah, she just does pretty well. I don't think she actually. I don't know if she loses any of the matchups below her. Maybe like Sword Fighter, she does like a little bit poorly into. But I also am not as experienced with the matchups into her, so yeah. She's a good character though. She's a great secondary too. Then next up, Engram. Engram, I put him in S tier. It's very debatable. He's definitely noticeably worse than Retriever, but I don't know if he's like A tier. I really struggle with Engram actually, and I still don't know. His speed lets him get away from a lot of things, and also, yeah, actually just his speed. His speed lets him like kind of get out of a lot of true things. His speed's really good. He lets him pressure opponents that normally couldn't. He has stubby range, but he has insanely good aerials for neutral. Like, Nair is really good. It pops up for a fair, and then it's like, it's just really good. And also, he can punish any, like, he can punish Sword Fighter recovery, Athena recovery, I don't know about Athena recovery, but, like, Scourges and Brawlers, and, like, I should especially say, I don't know about Scourge and Brawlers as much, but he can punish, Bruisers, and I think BB Axons, I'm not sure about those two. But his recovery is really good as a recovery punish, or like a just like moving upwards fast punish, I guess. He has really good combos still. I thought the fastball changes would like ruin his main combos, but actually no, his combos are still pretty intact actually. Shift M2 is like kind of becoming a more flawed option, but runes like started adding runes kind of showed me that like forward M2 is still pretty good. Or is good. And yeah, I S tier for Engram. This might just be biased because my character, like, it's his worst matchup, and it's very definitely his worst matchup. But, yeah, I still think he's a really good character. And then finally, Retriever. Retriever is the hardest character in the game, and he's also the best character in the game, which is really cool. All-out offense. He has insane edge guarding. He has really good neutral. He has great approach options. He really struggles on the defense, where he doesn't really have many ways to like get out of it. But his shift M1 is just so good too. He can use that as like kind of a get out of. Not really. He can't. He doesn't have the normal dashes. He just has to forward dash to get out of stuff, and forward dash isn't a great way to get out of stuff. Um, let's talk about his offense though. His shift M1's great for just like running opponents over. Um if you shift M1, you just like set up for combos. His new Nair is definitely way better than his old Nair. Although Staples kind of wished his old Nair was there so he could do Nair into shift M2, but I think actually new Nair is still better than that combo. Than having access to that combo, because I mean it's like Sword Fighter's Nair is the broken one. Sword Fighter's Nair is really good, and now Retriever gets it, and he can do it out of Shift M1. He can also start a combo off Shift M1 if he just fairs, and then he can like M1. His M1s are also pretty good. They're not the greatest thing in the world, but Dash M1's a really good option. It's a little disjointed, just a little, but not very disjointed like Brawlers is. Overall, he's just strong offensive potential. Is still really good, even with the forward M2 nerfs. That move used to be super broken, and now it's actually kind of bad. But it's not really not usable. Retriever's offense, TP dash, and also recovery. Never talked about recovery, but recovery is also a really strong movement tool. If you do it at the right height in the air, you can like instantly cancel it once landing on the ground. I guess auto cancel once landing on the ground. It's a really good attack. Really, it's not as disjointed as it used to be, I think, but yeah, it's still really good. And yeah, S tier. I think definitively he's the best character still. I haven't seen. I'm pretty sure. Like, don't take my word for this. I like only. I play every time I play Fables' Retriever. I just think it's insane. Still. And I think once we start seeing, if we start seeing Retrievers, implement a lot of the stuff that Sables does, I think people would more like agree that he's really good. But this is what I think, and I should mention again, like this game is really well balanced. Like the tier gaps aren't like that big. Like every character Hexon and above is like incredibly like playable in all matchups, and Hexon struggles, but he's definitely doable. Um, he does have pretty bad. And I think the top tiers do, like destroy Hexon, but like yeah, that's just the match. Thanks for watching. And yeah, bye.